Maybe I'm crazy, but I look at butts differently after the VMAs now.
What? Starting with butt stuff?
Yeah, butts. But yeah.
Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm not.
Welcome to the Maybe I'm Crazy podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. That's not Brandon Newman. That is John Heller.
Gentrification strikes again, you guys.
Yeah, we tried. Brandon Newman is out this week, so John Heller is going to fill in for him, which we appreciate.
Hola.
He's going to try his best not to be too weird, but we can't make promises because it's Heller. But
And I'm in the weird chair.
you are in the weird chair. A lot of
If I
weird,
ever had
weird
license
stuff happens over there.
to act weird, I feel like this would be
That's
that
true.
time.
Just
But anyway,
don't shave your mustache because
that's the weird part.
I don't think Emily's
Yeah.
going to appreciate that. But thank you for joining us.
course.
VMAs were last night, and Lizzo is God. And
Facts.
Missy Elliott is what's above God?
Well,
Lizzo's like Missy Elliott is God, and Lizzo, is like
Jesus.
or the Holy Spirit.
I'm not sure how all that works. So
well,
I'll take
that's
your
right,
word
you're
for
an
it. I'll
atheist.
take your word for it.
Anyway,
I went to church,
VMAs were fun. We'll talk about that later. Pat McAfee, who played for the Colts for 8 years, he is now a host on The Zone.
And
It's
a
new
legend.
Show, a new show on September 9th premieres on The Zone. And he's also from Pittsburgh, so we'll talk about some Pittsburgh stuff for the people in Pittsburgh who care about that. Everyone else doesn't, but we don't care because we're from Pittsburgh and we make our own rules. But we'll obviously talk to him about the Andrew Luck stuff because he played with Andrew Luck and he knows him well, and obviously we're all still in shock about that retirement. So we'll talk about that. We will talk about the Cowboys, of course. We will talk about the AFC South because it's different now.
Wide open.
The Miami UF game was a tire fire, so we will discuss that in losers. Big Ben and Gronk is into CBD now. Who isn't? They're CBD dog treats now. Did you know that?
CBD on everything. My CBD's got some chocolate on it. I think is a 2 Chainz line actually.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We love CBD. And also the fan reactions to Andrew Luck. Yeah, there's a thing behind you.
Sorry, I got excited. I said one joke and then I got all nervous and excited. You know what I mean?
Let's get started with Pat McAfee. All right, Pat McAfee is joining us, formerly of the Colts, and now he has a new show on The Zone that premieres September 9th, the Pat McAfee Show. Pat, thanks so much for joining us on the Maybe I'm Crazy podcast. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I've always wanted to be on the Maybe I'm Crazy podcast, and here I am living out another dream. Thank you so much.
Oh, you flatter. Well, okay, so we'll test and see if that's really true because while doing a little background research on you, I found out something that I did not know, and I have a major upper hand on you. So, do you know where I'm from in the world, like where I was born and raised?
Absolutely, I do. You
do.
were born and raised right there in, it's that city. It's a great one. Boy, it's a great one. It's, you were born and raised in?
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
What?
I went to Woodland Hills High School.
W-O-O-D-Y.
Woody High. I graduated in 2004. I played soccer there.
Really?
Yes. So you and I have 1,000% crossed paths at some point in our adolescent years.
I would guarantee that's the case. Well, Joy, it's great to talk to you again after all these years.
It's always good to have a fellow Yinzer on the show. Everyone thinks it's funny that we call ourselves that. But you went to Plum.
I did go to Plum, and my mom grew up in Churchill, which is now Woodland Hills High School. And my dad's from Forest Hills, so I mean it's all around where you went to high school, and I should have known that. I didn't know a legend came out of Woody High and went directly into the media business. But I'm from Plum, and I think the world enjoys the Yinzers. They just don't know enough about them yet, and I'm trying to get a little Yinzer accent nationwide as soon as possible, and we can just keep hammering that down. I'll be excited about it.
Yeah, now that I'm listening to it and I know it, I can hear it more now. I don't really have a Yinzer accent per se. My mother actually lives in Churchill today. She lives in Churchill, and my nieces just moved out of Forest Hills. So yeah, we're from the same place in the world, so we got to represent. But I will say our football team was way better than yours.
Okay. There was so much positive momentum running into that conversation there, and then just at the end, you had to just take a hard left turn right into negative town. And I understand that the Steelers and Stairway to Seven in all the old days, whenever Tommy Maddox was slinging the rock and slashing quarter, all Jerome Bettis, the wheels on the bus go round and round. I understand that the Steelers have incredible legacy, but the Colts are about to be good at football again, I think, with entering this new Jacoby era. So I got faith in the Colts, but I can very much understand being a diehard Steelers fan. I got a lot of them around me on a daily basis.
Oh, no, I love the Steelers. I was talking about Woodland Hills being better than Plum.
Oh, yeah, Plum, we don't play football. I mean, the team shows up, but it's just not our thing. I mean, Woodland Hills, I think, won by 50 the last time we played, and, I'm not happy about it. I'm not proud of it, but that's just the way things go.
Okay, well, we'll keep it real about that. Okay, so let's talk about your Colts there. So you know Andrew Luck pretty well. What was your reaction when you found out he retired, or did you know that this was happening?
I was incredibly surprised, I think, just like everybody else. And I have friends that are still in the Colts organization that I sent a text to. I was like, did you guys know this was coming? And I got people from inside the building who would normally know possibly what's going on, telling me that they were floored by the information. I don't think anybody could have expected this. Everybody expected Andrew Luck to play for another 10 years and be great, especially after what happened last year. But the mental side of things, and whenever you can potentially save yourself from going back into a place you don't want to go if an injury's popping up, which I think is what happened in that heartbreaking press conference. I mean, it came out of nowhere, and at the end of the day, I'm happy for him. So I think it was definitely surprising to every human on earth.
What did you make of, since nobody in the organization knew what was happening? They had planned a press conference for that Sunday. So who would have leaked it then? How did that happen?
No, I think it all came to be within like that last 24 hours there when the news was released. I honestly do believe it was in the last couple of days before it was announced. And I think there was only a select group of humans that know, and all you need is for one person to tell somebody,
right? And
then all of a sudden that tree starts to expand, and then anonymous sources are the key to the game. And when Schefter gets that information, it's the biggest story on earth. He knows it. He can't sit on that, I assume, because he thinks somebody else is going to find out. And I just think the timing of it all was insanity. But from what I'm being told, nobody outside of maybe a select few people had a clue. So it really came out of left field for everybody, I think.
I don't think he's coming back. But obviously, as soon as he retires, the conversation turns to, well, maybe in a couple years he'll come back. But do you think he's going to come back?
I do not think so, because everybody assumes that he needs to get his competitive juices flowing somewhere and all that stuff. I just don't think he will, because of how heartbroken he was to make this decision. And to be honest, he looks a little smaller than he normally is, too. So not only does he have to get back to a mental standpoint, but whenever he was playing quarterback, he was a physical specimen, and he looks a bit smaller. He would have to go through an entire physical transformation as well again. And I feel like that's a lot. And I think Jacoby Brissett said yesterday in his press conference that whenever he talked to Luck about it all, he had a smile on his face, and it seemed like he had a moment of clarity. And I think whenever you reach that, and you are happy and feeling fulfilled with your decision, and he's got a family on the way, and he's a genius, so I'm sure he'll get into something. I think we might have seen the last of Andrew Luck on an NFL field, and I don't think it's good news. I wish we could see him play again because of how talented he was, but I think he's going to move on with his life and do swimmingly.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen firsthand what it takes to actually retire from the NFL, and it's not a small decision, and it's gut-wrenching even when it's literally time, and it's not a surprising situation like Andrew Luck. What did you go through when you retired? Because obviously you went through this. Yeah,
so my lady actually posted something on social media because she's an influencer here in Indianapolis, but everybody in Indianapolis has an opinion about the Andrew Luck situation. And my lady posted something, and she wrote about how being a significant other to somebody who is hurt and deciding to retire and watching somebody give up something that's been in their life for so long, how it can be difficult. And I think that is a very accurate thing. Like for me, when I was retiring, I very much knew that I wanted to move on, but it was difficult to do it because this is something the game of football has given me, given Luck, given everybody who's got a chance to play in the NFL so much. And then when it's time to move on, even if you're ready to do it mentally, it's still a difficult decision. And I think Andrew Luck had to battle through those emotions to really give it up because the game has given him a lot. And I think anybody who retires has to do that, and it's not easy. And I am very happy that I retired. I'm enjoying life. But whenever it was about to happen, there was a lot of like, is this really what I want to do? This is a big life decision. And then once you turn that page, you just got to run with it. And I think that's what Andrew would do, and I think that's what everybody does.
What was the biggest transition getting out of the NFL? Because I feel like for athletes, and it's something that a lot of people don't pay attention to, because, you know, we talk about, oh, you know, they'll get into broadcasting or, you know, they'll open some gyms or something, but it's so much deeper than that. Like if you've played a sport on a professional level, you've likely played it since you were a child. So you're not retiring from a 10-year NFL career. You're retiring from a 20-year lifetime commitment career. Like it's your identity. It's what you do every day. You have a routine. You wake up and you go work out at this time. And then this time of the year, you know, you're going to be able to slack a little bit. Like your entire life routine changes. So to me, that's the biggest adjustment for athletes leaving the sport. It's not just that, okay, I have to find something else to do, or how do I replace that adrenaline rush, or how do I replace the locker room? It's like your whole life routine changes. It's like having a baby in reverse or something. Like your whole life is different.
That is such an incredible thought and so accurate. And I would also chime in that whenever your entire life is dedicated to something, to learn and go outside of that can also sometimes be difficult whenever you see how something always goes. And for me, the transition was a little bit easier because I was utilizing my social media platforms to run a couple businesses while I was in the league, because of the stats of 80% of guys going broke. And then you hear a story basically about 100% of guys missing the locker room and camaraderie and the structure. And I think all those things combined, although money and we professional athletes get an incredible head start financially on the rest of their peers, life is long. So the ability to transition into another profession after your professional playing career is over is a massive one. And I think Luck will do it. I think more and more guys will succeed while doing it because I think there's a lot more opportunity these days. For the athletes that go into broadcasting, normally it's only a select few. It's the superstars who already made a lot of money to begin with. There used to be the ones that were selected to get into television or to speak into microphones. Now with social media and branding and the way guys can run their own business and be entrepreneurs and get taught these things from people that are making money in other ways, I think we're going to see a lot higher success rate of players transitioning into retirement. And I think we're going to see a lot more retirements happening, making way for younger players to get their chance.
So tell us a little bit about Andrew Luck, because Colin has him in his, what he calls the Boar 4. And, you know, he's kind of like Frankenstein, and like, we don't know a lot about him. We heard rumors that he uses a flip phone, and like, you know, he might possibly wear shoes with Velcro on them. But like, is he really actually like that, or is he secretly a wild man? Like, what is Andrew Luck?
I think Andrew Luck is like the nicest dude of all time, who just so happened to be the smartest guy on earth and the prototype for what a professional quarterback should be. He grew up in Europe and he's went to Stanford, so he's obviously a highly intelligent man, but he's a well-cultured man as well. He's a bit of a hipster when it comes to dressing and his appearance. He's everything that people say he is. He has a flip phone. He does have a book club. He likes being positive and optimistic. That's why whenever you saw him kind of breaking down in a press conference, I think that was a big gut punch for a lot of people who've known him, because you don't ever get a chance to see him like that because he's always positive. He's an anomaly. He's an alien. I think he's an alien. And I was very lucky to be teammates with him, and I think everything you hear about him is probably true. Aside from him being a wild man, I haven't seen that. He's just a good dude. He's a big-time nerd.
Well, I can respect that. So you mentioned the Steelers earlier. You know how it is. You're born and raised in Pittsburgh. You really don't have a choice but to like the Steelers. Now, I grew up a Dolphins fan because, of course, Dan Marino is a Pitt guy. And, you know, my brother spent some time down there, so I didn't have a choice in that matter either. So I kind of split time between the Dolphins and Steelers, but I was really disappointed in the Steelers last year. I felt like they had a full culture breakdown. I mean, I know it's kind of the days of, you know, the bus and Hines Ward and Polamalu, those days are past, but the culture remains. And I felt like it really broke down last year. I mean, I was in Pittsburgh a few weeks ago, and I got to listen to all these old head Yinzers talk about how Antonio Brown is a diva and like so annoying. And to me, I felt like a lot of that falls on Big Ben and Mike Tomlin. But that said, I think they're being underestimated a lot this year. So what is your take on the Steelers as far as how it broke down last year and what you think they're going to be this year?
Well, I think last year was just the tip of the iceberg. I think drama had been building in that building in particular for a couple of years, and it wasn't normal for the Steelers, this storied franchise, to be this dramatic team, which is what was starting to happen. I think there's a quote that says, when you win, there's enough to go around. And I think they had so much success. They have a lot of stars on that team. And whenever AB and Le'Veon Bell kind of got upset with their positioning in the team or how they were being perceived to be treated by others, whenever you have big personalities that have a lot of ability, I mean, that can cause some situations in a locker room. And I think now that it's kind of cleared the way, and AB going to Oakland, Lev going to the Jets, they kind of made it very clear that, hey, we're going to stick with Ben. He's our guy because he's won us a lot of games, even though he might call out a guy on local radio, even though he might cause some situations that you wouldn't see other top-tier quarterbacks cause off the field. I think they've really put a team around Ben that likes each other. I think the camaraderie from back in the day of the Steelers, where you think of a unit as a whole, is completely back. That seems to be a team that really likes each other. They're young. They got a lot of talent. Juju is incredible. I think he's a really good player. Andy handles his brand well. And I like the way James Conner runs the football. I think he's going to be good as well. I like the Steelers a lot. I'm a big fan, and anytime you have a coach pass away or something big like that, that only brings a team together even more. So I don't know what people are expecting from the Steelers. I think I saw Colin is predicting them to win the AFC North, and I think that's probably a pretty accurate take. I think their team's going to be good.
Well, the other team that's in the AFC North that people are high on, which you and I know are the enemy, but they've evolved over the past year or two in the Browns, and people are super high on them. I happen to love Baker Mayfield. I thought he should have started from week one. Thought he walked into a bad situation with Hugh Jackson, and he's made a lot of that situation. Obviously, they've upgraded tremendously on both sides of the ball this year. But my fear with the Browns is, I think what everyone's fear is like, what happens when stuff kind of starts to get a little shaky? Because that's when culture comes in and everyone kind of clicks back into their lane and says like, no, this isn't how we do things. But what's your biggest fear with the Browns this year? Because I do think they're going to be talented and good, but I don't know if they're ready to take that next step yet.
It's hilarious that you talked about our enemy, because growing up in Pittsburgh, you are taught that Cleveland is the worst place on earth.
Isn't
that crazy?
Yeah, because it is.
It's crazy.
No, I'm kidding. It's not the worst place on earth.
I have two of my guys that work for me now, went to Plum High School as well, and they're my boys from high school, and they still hate Cleveland. And now that Cleveland is back, they can't stand it. And I'm happy for the Cleveland Browns in the dog pound. I like that Dorsey's making some plays to make them relevant again. But just like you said, any team that has a lot of big personalities and potentially big egos, when things are going good, it's great. Whenever bullets start flying, you really learn a lot about them. And I think Jarvis Landry being there with OBJ will be good. And I think Baker Mayfield has a real chip on his shoulder to keep him focused on doing good things. I think they potentially have the right pieces to the puzzle to kind of make it through tough times, even though they have a lot of personalities. But I think that's all what we're all eager to see how that goes, especially in that locker room. But I like them a lot. I think Baker's a stud too. You like Baker, but Colin and him beef all the time. Do you stick up? How does that work with you?
Oh yeah, I mean I stick up for Baker. I didn't like what he did with Daniel Jones. I thought that was it was just silly. Like, you're in a room with a reporter. Like, this isn't your first interview. You know everything is on the record, so you got to be more careful about what you say and how it's going to be received. And once you have a reputation like Baker does of being brash and being the guy, like we only took that the way that we could take it, which is he meant it. But other than that, like, I don't have a problem with anything Baker does. I'm a young person. I like young people. I want them to be successful. I like personalities. I'm in the content business, and he's content. So to me, I like what the Browns are doing in that way, and I like that Baker is an individual. You know what I mean? I don't like cookie cutter guys, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm right on board with you. Now, granted, I think he got screwed over with the way they pieced it together, but he should know that that's the world we live in. But With the Daniel Jones stuff. But I like him a lot. I watched him on Stone Cold Steve Austin's show last night, and he seems to be just as legit in real life as he is whenever he does interviews and on the field. And he has a cool story about his parents basically investing all the money they had in him and his family sacrificing a lot for him to make it and then walking on 2 places. I think he's a cool story. I like his attitude. I like the chip on his shoulder. I just hope it can carry him to success and not the other way.
Yeah, me too. And obviously Colin is on the complete opposite side of that. Like it's why he loves Andrew Luck so much. But I got to stick up for the young guys, and I like personality, so I always want them to be stars. Like I think the NFL is better when Cam Newton is playing great. Like the NFL will be better because the Browns are not a disaster. Like the more competition, the more stars, the more stories, it's better for everyone.
Agreed, tenfold. I hate whenever the NFL made the no celebration rule and then the uniform rule and this rule and that rule to make everybody the same exact person. And they did that so they can just plug and place players. But when you have personalities, I think you should market them. The NBA does it well. And I think the NFL getting big personalities is a good thing for everybody as well. Yeah,
I started beating that drum like about 3 or 4 years ago with the encouragement of personalities. And when it really clicked for me was, I think it was 2 years ago, maybe it was 3 years ago, when everyone was hurt. Like literally half of the starting quarterbacks in the NFL were hurt. Everyone was out. And it was just like every star gone. And it was so hard to watch. And it messed up the competition. And it was like, duh, elevate your stars. If you elevate everyone, then when you do have a star quarterback go down, it's not the end of the season, as far as what is interesting and what can happen and what stories are there and what fans are tuning in for. And the reality is, like, everyone wants to point to the NBA, which of course the NBA does an incredible job with their stars and social media and, elevating every player and coach and city and everything. But it's really just the new wave, period. The social media and the internet has changed everything. Everybody has their own brand now. So to me, it's like, get on board, evolve or die. You know what I mean? And I think the NFL is starting to take steps towards understanding, like, we need to just put our arms around this.
Yep, beautifully stated. And I even enjoyed your duh that you dropped in the middle of that. I don't think I've heard that in a long time. So I respect that a lot.
I like to throw it back. So Carli Lloyd, she was at Eagles camp and kicked a couple field goals. I think she took a couple more steps than you usually take in a game. But she said her and her agent have said that her trainer have said she's gotten some offers to come into camp from NFL teams. Now she's 37 and obviously she's played soccer her entire life. Objectively, from a kicker's perspective, and now you had a pretty unconventional entrance into kicking yourself. But do you think that's something that could be possible?
I very much appreciate if a team did invite Carli Lloyd, and what she thinks are, there's no reason for me to ever expect an American legend, American champion Carli Lloyd to lie. I think it would be awesome to see her kick in a preseason game. With that being said, I love the pop of the ball that she kicked whenever she took like a 6-yard run up, which is longer than some guys' kickoff steps.
Right.
I love the pop of the ball that came off her foot. I think there's been a lot of female kickers in history that have tried to make it, and there's a potential chance for them to make it. I don't think anybody has had the pop off the foot that Carli Lloyd had. Surrounding her out there, too, with Justin Tucker and Jake Elliott and the Baltimore Ravens kicking consultant that was there, some of the best kicking people that you could be around, by the way, to learn how to kick. I think it was an incredible strike. I'm not sure if this is a year that she could get into it. I'm not sure if she can learn to elevate and get the pop with a shorter step, because it can be a little bit uncomfortable when you're learning those short steps, especially when you're a soccer player and you're used to running and having an open field. So adjusting to the shorter steps to generate the power and get the lift that you would need might be a bit difficult in this quick of a turnaround. But I'll tell you what, I enjoyed watching that ball fly 55 yards. But I'm not sure that people are appreciating the amount of explosion that it takes to get a ball to travel as high, as fast as it does, and as far as it does, with only taking a couple steps. There's only 32 jobs in the world for a reason, and I do think she has promise. I'm just not sure this year it would be possible for her to learn those techniques as quickly.
Yeah, I would agree. She's going to do it. Obviously, there's a tremendous amount of pressure and expectations and lots of other stuff, that is implicated with her success there. So I don't think she would do it. She wouldn't half-ass it. Kickers get no respect, huh?
None at all. And you know why though? Because it is the easiest position whenever it comes to other football players. I very much understand that I am a much lesser athlete than everybody else that I was teammates with and shared the field with, right? I understand that my position is nowhere near that, but it's the people who have never played football or maybe played high school football, and then they judge professional punters and professional kickers. And now, granted, not all punters and kickers are athletes. I think we've seen our fair share of incredibly disappointing tackle attempts and athletic moves for the brand of kickers and punters.
Right.
But there's some of us that I think if we were to play at those people's high schools that they played, we probably would have played every position if we wanted to. I think it's a much more athletic position than people give it credit to, but it's all about explosion. And we are absolutely nothing compared to other football players. And our job is a lot easier and it's a lot less work. But I do believe the actual craft of kicking a ball is much more difficult than people give it credit.
That's fair. That was a very self-aware answer.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. I try to strive on my self-awareness. I think growing up in Pittsburgh, you learn that.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for coming on with us. We really appreciate it. Make sure you check out Pat's new show on DAZN. It premieres September 9th. Next time you're in LA, let us know. We'd love to have you in studio. Maybe we'll ship out some Permani Bros and have some Iron Cities or something.
Hey, listen. You and I both know we will never put Iron City in our mouths again, but I would love to have a Permani sandwich or 3 with you. That'd be incredible. Thank you so much for the invite.
No one in this room understands how real what you just said is.
Yeah, it's the worst alcohol
I drink
in history.
Modelo. I drink Modelo Especial, and one of them at that. Thank you so much, Pat.
Hey, thank you, Joy. Have a good one over there.
You too. All right, thanks to Pat McAfee. That was fun.
Wonderful.
He is definitely right about the beer situation. I haven't had a beer in a long time, a very long time.
I've been to 2 weddings in the last 2 weekends, so I've had quite a few beers.
Lots
Because they're
of
free.
beers.
When they're free, it's like
Just
drink 'em.
You know what? You know you're getting old when free alcohol is no longer appealing to you. It's
you know what?
I see that you have Jell-O shots made of that vodka that I can
Yeah.
see on the counter.
Or
I'm sure they're wonderful, but I'm gonna pass.
a free drink ticket. Well, no, thank you. I think I'm good. I'm good off of that.
That happened a few years ago.
I'll just pay for the
part.
Hennessy. It's fine. Yeah, it's cool.
That's when you know you're getting old. I would pay money before getting this free drink that's gonna ruin my day tomorrow.
Yeah, money for comfort. That's what
You're
we
right.
do.
With it or quit it. With it, quit it.
What?
With it. We about to turn up in this bitch.
Anyway, let's get started with Wit It or Quit It. What am I winning or quitting today?
In most industries, if you're able to retire at 29 with millions in the bank, the folks at your retirement party are hella jealous of your success. In Andrew Luck's case, his biggest fans booed him, and for that, we all lost. Joy, fans were wrong to boo Luck off the field. Wit it or quit it.
I'm going to wit it. They were wrong, but I don't want everyone to overreact to how wrong they were. Okay? Obviously, when Heat fans were leaving the game, they thought it was over, and then it turned out it wasn't. Everyone was like, every Heat fan doesn't know anything about basketball.
But that B-roll of them banging on the doors trying to get back
great.
in was worth it.
It's not great. It's not our best look. I always say you want to have good stuff on tape, not our best tape.
Nope.
But it was 30 people. And when you zoom in on a shot on 30 people, it looks like 300 people, and people hated Miami.
Particularly if they're all wearing linen.
Right. It'll all go down. Right. Exactly. With the belts.
Yeah.
So it'll all go down however the media says it went down or other fans say it went down. It really wasn't that dramatic. But that's how it goes. Every fan in Indianapolis was not booing Andrew Luck. It was the end of a preseason game. The 3rd preseason game. There's not even that many fans there.
No.
It's the 4th quarter of the 3rd preseason game. So let's not be too dramatic. Those are hardcore fans that are there. And of those hardcore fans, every fan wasn't booing. They just found out Andrew Luck retired. I didn't know what to think about what was happening when he retired. In today's society, let's be honest, there was a lot of things that popped into my head about what it could possibly be before we then started hearing news about what it actually was. It's a dramatic thing to hear. That said, of course you don't want to boo a guy who has been great for you. I'm not a knuckle dragger, so in general, I don't walk around booing things. Even when I am at games where I care, I'm not a booer. I'm just not a booer. I'm an active participant in a lot of stadium antics, the wave from my seat. I don't raise up.
You wave, Joy?
I go like this.
No.
I mean, what are
No,
you, fun
we
killer?
can't.
Like,
Yes, I am.
You can lift your arms.
But booing is a bad look, even when you're justified. You, just as an adult human, yelling, boo,
yeah, I'm not a booer.
at a person
I don't
is
love,
just like,
I just don't love the
it's
boo.
nuts.
I don't love the boo, and I feel like in general, you're not really, you're not assessing the whole situation in general when you're booing. That said, if you're booing someone on your own team, you probably should be very sure and clear about the implications of booing said person.
It's tough when it's like they just found out.
No, I'm with you, and that's why I'm saying
like,
I
they
don't
were on their
wanna,
phone, they looked up, they saw him. It's
yeah, and I don't want to overreact to the situation for that reason.
It's
also, like, why are you announcing your retirement at the game? You're on the sidelines. Like, you want to do that more prepared and set. Apparently, they had a press conference planned for Sunday. Obviously, it didn't go down that way. Somebody leaked it, and so here we are. Right. Well, it happens. So I'm not going to overreact to the fans doing it. Obviously, they shouldn't do it. But I do think that it does speak to, like, the bigger picture of it's kind of time for fans and everyone in general to, like, catch up to the new wave. We've arrived here. We've arrived here we are now in the age of enlightenment, and we're all here together, right? So some of us are
hopefully
taking a little longer
yeah, that's true.
to get there. All right, we're waving you on.
Hurry up, guys. Come on.
There's room.
It's fine over here. Trust me.
On the enlightened train. It's cool over here. We actually
look at us laughing genuinely
each other
over here
for our differences, and we learn and share things.
See that personal space that we were respecting also?
Right.
That's also important here.
You know, those type of things. But we're here. Like, we've arrived there, right? Like, we are in the state where things are changing rapidly. Rules for society are changing rapidly. And as much as there is a stranglehold on the idea of this old school mentality of grit and grind, and you will sacrifice your body as a man to the skin and bones. It's like, okay.
You never cry. Come on.
Men can cry.
It's important sometimes, too.
Sometimes you just need to cry.
Yeah.
It's probably better for everyone if you just cry and not do what you planned on doing.
I might have a good cry after this. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you never know.
You might need to when I'm done with you. But the point is, everyone just needs to evolve, right? Like, there was, for the most part, a understanding reaction to Andrew Luck. Not that I'm, like, happy about being right about this, but I have been saying for months now, this is not a good thing that he has a lingering injury that is keeping him from practicing in the preseason and training camp. It's one thing to not play a preseason game, okay? Pretty much everyone of note is sitting out of preseason now, which is smart. There's no reason to be out there, okay? We're going to talk about Lamar Miller later. Yeah. That sucks, okay? No need for that to happen. It sucks.
Cam even got a...
Cam Newton.
Like, Cam? We can't lose Cam.
You have no need
in
for
a
Cam to be out there.
Gosh.
Yeah, it's totally unnecessary. That said, injuries happen, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we just have to all evolve together, right? Like, understand that if he is not out there for that long and he's not practicing and he's not in training camp and he's there but he's not doing team drills,
it's
like,
toughness
it's happened
issue.
since April, there's something wrong here. And like, everyone's like, well, you know, like, they're just being secretive. Like, no, something's wrong. Now, I'm not saying I knew he was going to retire. Of course I didn't know he was going to retire, but you're here. Like, we've arrived now. We know how hard it is to come back from injuries. If you're a normal person out there, okay, you've ever broken your arm, like your thumb, your toe, like twisted an ankle.
That arm's clicking the rest of your life, perhaps.
Right.
Like, it's...
I tore my ACL, so I have a deeper appreciation. And obviously, I've seen massive injuries. My younger brother blew out his entire knee, MCL, ACL, meniscus. Like, everything is gone. Like, it's a nightmare. My brother's had shoulder surgery. Like, I've seen all kinds of devastating injuries. But when you experience it yourself, you have a different understanding of it. I tore my ACL. It was a nightmare. First of all, I'm 5'2". I couldn't wear heels for a year. That might not matter to you, but it alters your like your life. It really does. Like, it messes with your self-esteem. My body was never the same ever again. Like, it's very traumatic, and rehab is exhausting. Okay, and that's just me trying to like work it in some heels again. I'm just trying to like run a lap, or get on an elliptical. I'm not trying to go out there and be a warrior with no conscience
at the highest level.
Yeah, so everyone just needs to just realize this is what it is now. Obviously, it was a jarring retirement, but mental health is important. I know we all sound like hippies and kumbaya, all right? And it's like you're weirdos because you want to go to rehab and like talk to someone about your problems.
I'm from California. This sounds regular to me.
Okay, but there's a whole world out there that still thinks it's weird. And honestly, like, I heard a doctor talk about it this weekend, and it just makes perfect sense. Like if you're going to take medication for arthritis or asthma, okay, or cancer or anything else, like why would you not take why would you take care of your mental health in the same way? And that's what he's doing. Like he's saying he's mentally exhausted. He's saying he's not invested, and he's not. So like fans reacting that way, obviously they did not have that information at hand. So I'm not going to freak out and call them knuckle draggers.
Not a good look.
They care.
Never boo. You know.
Just maybe we're just done with booing. Maybe that's the lesson there.
Cheer.
I think we're done with booing, or just think for a second. You gotta
mull
it over how you feel.
Yeah, you got a great heckle. Let that thing fly
before
for
you
sure.
Start yelling.
Put some creativity on that.
It's not gonna happen. It's part of the game. All right, what's next?
Okay, keeping it quarterback-eel. 2012, the last time Aaron Rodgers won a Super Bowl. It was also the year Andrew Luck was drafted, but that's besides the point. 2019, young guns drafted since then, like Goff, Mahomes, and Baker, make up nearly 2/3 of the likely starting QBs this season. Joy, this is the last year for OGs like Brady, Brees, Big Ben, and Phil Rivers to dominate. Wit it or quit it.
I actually hadn't had Brees in there. Let me throw that in there too. If you got about Brees, bees.
Yeah, 40 plus.
Big fan of Drew Brees. I'm a big fan of all these guys, but
great dudes.
It feels like I'm with it. It feels like the last hurrah for the old guard of the NFL.
Right off into that sunset.
I don't want to pin this on Andrew Luck because obviously he's not part of that, in being that he's only 29 years old. But it just kind of feels like we're just ticking kind of towards the end. And it's not necessarily that they're not going to be relevant next year, obviously not this upcoming year, talking about the year after that.
Right.
Because I'm saying this is the last year for these guys to have the stranglehold that they have over the NFL. I don't think that Brady is going to be playing at a high enough level next year to do it.
But he's going to look good in that Niners uniform, though. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I'm not pushing against it. Like anything is possible. I believe it. I think that Brees is going to retire sooner than Brady does. Phillip Rivers unfortunately plays for the Chargers, and as much as I love the Chargers, I got to see them actually be that clutch team in that moment.
It would be amazing if he could ride off with one.
I would love it.
Ooh, that'd be great.
I would love it. I'm rooting for that. So for all 15 Chargers fans out there, don't get upset. I like Phillip Rivers a lot.
Way to stick with him after they left San Diego.
You're a Chargers fan?
San Diego.
And you stuck with him?
Yeah, I did. I'm in LA now. I left too.
Well, that's
okay.
fair.
Yeah. That was pretty succinct.
Yeah, it makes
nice.
sense.
Yeah.
And like Ben, I just think that the window for a Super Bowl has closed on him and Tomlin. I don't know that they have the talents on the entire team as a whole to get not get to a Super Bowl to win a Super Bowl again. But that said, the bigger picture is next year, all these young guys are going to be a year better. And when you look at the list, like you just mentioned a few, Jared Goff, Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. We don't know what Jimmy G is going to be yet. Think he's going to be pretty good. Daniel Jones, who knows what he's going to be. Lamar Jackson, Mitch Trubisky, Carson Wentz, Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson. Like, at one point or another, one of these guys is going to take hold of the NFL. And
Derek Carr's good too.
Yeah, I mean, you can put Derek Carr in there if you want to.
After Hard Knocks, I'm pretty high on the Raiders.
That's why that's what's happening.
Yeah, sorry.
I mean, for sure, fine, throw him in there if you want to. But like, there's a lot of young guys with a lot of talents. The high level of talent of the guys I just listed is already up there in consideration with Brees and Brady, which may be unfair, but I mean, Patrick Mahomes is looking like that dude.
Yep.
Jared Goff played in the Super Bowl last year. So I just don't think that they're going to be able to maintain it after this year. This year feels like a massive amount of pressure on each of those teams. And not necessarily on the Patriots, because like enough with the Patriots, okay? Like whatever. We know they're going to be good. They're going to win the AFC East. Whoop-de freaking do. But what are you going to do in the playoffs? That's what I'm really actually
probably more of the
for.
Same, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of like the Warriors. Like, all right, we know you're going to be there. Like, no.
Warrior shade.
We'll see you in the
Don't
playoffs.
do that. Don't shade the Warriors.
Too soon?
I mean, yeah, I hate Drake so much still. I hate him so much.
It's time for high key, low key.
High key.
Low key.
Not bad.
Thank you.
All right, so high key, Gronk is retired, and low key, he's getting high while retired. So he held a press conference introducing his partnership with the company CBD Medic. If you don't know what CBD is, Google it. I'm not going to explain. But it does work. I will tell you that. And the goal is to advocate for CBD use in the NFL, which is should of course happen. Like the conversation about painkillers in the NFL at this point is just really, 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 really dumb. I've talked to people who have had to take literally handfuls of pills before even going out on the field. The idea of that is just.
But you can't have any of that plant that grows out of the ground and has never killed anyone
I mean,
all.
look, like,
period, ever. And we're gonna fine you and suspend you and blemish your record. And sometimes you can't get into college or graduate from college off of that. Like, what? Come on now.
Thank you for that rant. But you took the words right out of my mouth. No, I don't have to say it. But it's true. Like, it's silly at this point. And again, we're in the age of enlightenment. Everyone is welcome to come aboard. Not saying that you have to smoke 3 blunts a day, but
it might help with enlightenment, though.
That creaky elbow of yours, just rub a little CBD on it, and you're gonna feel better. You're gonna take a 2-hour nap, but you are gonna feel better.
It's not gonna be worse.
Right. That is important. But anyway, he's advocating for that, and he spoke at the introduction of this, or the press conference, and it was pretty revealing.
I want to be clear to my fans. I needed to recover. I was not in a good place. Football was bringing me down, and I didn't like it. And I was losing that joy in life, like the joy. I'm sorry right now, but dang, I really was, and I was fighting through it. And I knew what I signed up for, and I knew what I was fighting through. And I knew I just have to fix myself. And I believe I have the tools. I have the people around me. I have CBD medic team around me now to help me to deal with my pain whenever I need it, during a workout, whatever it is, so I can do the most safe alternative way for myself.
Brought that Gronk energy.
Yeah, so he's in tears talking about leaving football and how much, like, the pain of his injuries, much like Andrew Luck, made him not only hate football and took the joy of the game away, but also forced him to retire. I mean, you think of his injuries. Gronk, I mean, it's just jarring to even read all of them. High ankle sprain, forearm fracture, back fracture, concussion, torn MCL, torn ACL, knee strain, hamstring, back disc hernia, thigh bruise, back ankle.
Ow.
I mean, we know Gronk's been injured a ton.
And he's got that elbow. He had that elbow brace on. He always looks. He looks
like a transformer.
Looked like he was sewn together. With modern technology
and he is
pushed
a Hall
out
of
there.
Famer and was at one point, when not injured, the most dominant player on the field on either side of the ball. He was just unstoppable. And it was heart-wrenching to hear that out of Gronk, because it's like, it's Gronk, you know? But that's how serious these injuries have become. So for all this talk about Andrew Luck, like, really Gronk's retirement, I mean, we kind of felt like this was coming because he had discussed it. But it's pretty dramatic, too. I mean, Gronk's only 30 years old. He could play another 5 years easily if he had not had this injury history. So there's nothing about the game that's going to change that's going to keep this from happening. Like, you either are a guy that gets injured or you're not. And that's not the overall point. Like, Gronk is going to play the way that he plays. He's Gronk. That's what got him there, and that's what made him successful. So it's not like he's going to become, like, some finesse receiver. But listening to him, it's like, it's just a reminder, again, like, there are other alternatives to a 10-inch Toradol shot and 15 Vicodins. Like, there's other things out there that the NFL needs to be open to, especially with, like, what Pat talked about. Like, there's a trend of guys being like, we've already made millions of dollars. I already have this business opportunity that I know I can make this much money and chill at home with my girl, and we can travel, and I don't have to go wreck shop for 9 months and feel like shit for 3 months and then have to go through surgery again for this. And it's going to continue happening because that's the nature of the game. It's very violent. I'm not saying football's going to die. Don't be dramatic. Don't overreact. There's always going to be young guys who are going to come in the next year and fill those spaces. But just, they do need to be open to some other.
Do we care about the players or not? This is a very easy way to show that we do. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't agree more. CBD is very effective. All right. High key, the AFC South has changed dramatically. And low key, you have to watch out for the Jags now.
Nicky Foles, baby.
I'm so torn on the Jaguars because I have no love for the Jaguar organization. I don't know why. I just don't. Maybe it's the Dolphins. I don't know. But I like Fred Taylor.
Oh yeah. They had some other great Tony Baselli.
Yeah, Baselli is cool.
Some other cool dudes.
But I like Nick Foles. And I'm like, I just can't help but root for the guy.
I think Nick Foles is stoked that Mike Glennon is getting credit for having a long neck now, so that no one pays attention to the length of Nicky Foles' neck.
It's
he got a long one
it's
too.
A strong jab because his neck it's long.
Yep, he could see over most things, including the offensive line and the defensive line. Hopefully,
right? But unfortunately, you just can't see where he needs to throw the ball. Which is like that's just.
Well, if you close your eyes, even if you're all the way up there, it's a little it's a little tougher. It's a little tougher, but yeah, it's wide open. Who was the
Jack Del Rio? think it was Jack Del Rio. This could be a fake story, but it's a really good story, so I'm going to tell it anyway. Brett Romberg can correct me. He was my co-host in Miami. When he was with the Jags, Jack Del Rio had a tree stump in the middle of the locker room with an axe. The first time I heard the story, I was like, I know how the story ends.
Yeah, someone's losing a foot for
How dumb.
sure.
How incredibly stupid.
Lucky if it's just a couple fingers.
An axe around more than one man just seems like a bad idea. No offense.
Honestly, the turnover chain seems like too much for the locker room to handle.
Yeah, but it can't cause anyone harm.
Well,
it can't remove a limb, okay?
Okay, yeah.
So that's where I'm going. I don't know where you're going, but that is where I'm going. So there's a stump and an axe, and of course, like the point is like release some testosterone and like hack the stump with the axe. And of course, someone missed and hacked their foot because of course, how else would that end?
Everyone in the locker room isn't a lumberjack.
And
like,
it's
what
the most
yeah.
Jacksonville story of all stories that could be possibly a Jacksonville story. So that happened.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
We're pretty sure that
I'm like
happened.
99% sure that's how the story
that
went.
is a good story.
I could be wrong
regardless.
about everything,
yeah.
but it's a really fun story that I could be telling.
Shouts to Jack Del Rio, maybe.
Maybe. Pretty sure it's true though. Anyway, the point is Jacksonville is legitimately a problem now. So basically, this division was between the Colts and the Texans, right?
Yeah.
And the problem is then Andrew Luck retired, and it's like, oh, Colts are all the way down here now. It's obviously the Texans.
I don't think
and
so.
then Lamar Miller tears his ACL.
Yeah.
Now, no one is overreacting to this as much as I am for some reason. Like, I'm like, that's a huge, massive problem, right? You're starting running back Lamar Miller, who was a Pro Bowler last year, is out. Are we not everybody cool? Like, why is this okay?
But you know more about Lamar Miller than the rest of us because he was a Dolphin, and so you.
I mean, not really. He was a
And
Pro
he went to
Bowler
the-
last year. Like, everyone should pretty much know what Lamar Miller is at this point. I'm not saying
That's
Ezekiel Elliott, but he is the starting running back
That's
for the
true.
Texans, and Deshaun Watson kind of needs him. Now, Duke Johnson is a fine replacement, but he's not Lamar Miller. Like, we know that. So if you look at the division now, you've got Jacoby Brissett and Frank Reich. I mean, okay.
Don't sleep.
Colts are going to be okay.
Don't sleep on that. He's a good quarterback.
I think that Jacoby is good. He's not Andrew Luck, and I think that there's
Very
going to be
few
an
people are.
emotional hangover to the situation.
Ooh, I think there's going to be an emotional 3-game win streak, and then the
Maybe,
hangover sets in.
but that's my point. Like, who really knows? Because everyone is completely writing the Colts off, which I think is a mistake.
Yeah.
You have Nick Foles and Doug Marrone. I don't think that Jacksonville's going to be that bad. I know everyone thinks Nick Foles is trash.
Yeah, but can you imagine a Doug Marrone cutaway where they're winning? You know what I mean? Like
I can't picture it yet, but I'm just saying if something happens, like if one more dramatic thing happens in this division, it could very well be the Jags division. Marcus
be fun
Mariota
being
and Mike
that guy.
Vrabel. I mean, I don't have any faith in Marcus Mariota. It could end up being Ryan Tannehill's
Yeah,
job.
your
before
boy.
they- Oh my
Shouts
God.
to Ryan Tannehill. Oh my goodness. Almost switched him to receiver.
They
And
deserve
now he's a
him.
quarterback.
And then obviously you have Deshaun Watson and Bill O'Brien, who we all love and we're rooting for. But I really think the Lamar Miller thing evens this division out a lot, and I don't think everyone is taking it as seriously. I mean, maybe the Texans are,
It's going to be
but
fun to watch.
yeah, for sure. Loser power rankings. Loser power rankings. These are the losers of the week. Okay, pretty good. A little more, emphatic.
I'm trying to show energy.
No, you're good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you're doing a good job. Let's give Heller.
Woo! Appreciate y'all.
Stepping up to the plate.
All right.
Brandon is out, by the way. If you've been skipping ahead and wondering why Heller is sitting
Yeah,
here.
why Brandon sounds so white today.
All right, so let's start with the Cowboys. They still haven't signed Dak or Zeke. Do they think they know that Zeke is holding out at this point, or like I don't understand. What is the delay?
Where is Zeke?
So Zeke is still in Cabo. So Marshall Faulk went down to Cabo. I believe they have the same agent. So he went down to Cabo to help Zeke train and get ready for the
Okay, good.
season.
I thought you were going to say like convince him to come back, and I was like,
No.
gross.
He's just
Okay,
going
cool.
down there to work out with them and also like probably hang out in Cabo, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But he's saying the problem is Zeke might be in great shape, but he's not getting any hits. Like he's not getting touched. That's a problem. This is part of the reason why I don't think Zeke should be in Cabo, because if he was in, say, Miami at a training facility there,
He can find some
then-
guys to hit him.
Right.
Yeah.
And you need to be hit. Like even Le'Veon Bell, who's not playing in the preseason, who hasn't played in a year, is like, I need some contact in practice. You have to be a little callous. You don't want your first hit when you walk into a
Nope.
fight in the for 6 months to be the first hit in the first round. Like you want a little bit of edge to you. And I don't think that's a good thing. Now Zeke also came out to Maxim magazine. Shout out to the mags, by the way, getting non-sports magazines, culture magazines, getting all the interviews.
I think it's worth noting that there was no photo shoot like for the GQ articles for Baker and Odell, so this wasn't quite as big of a deal, but it's still.
I mean, it's the first time we've hearing from Zeke though since the holdout.
Shouts to Maxim magazine.
And he's saying he wants to be a Cowboy for life, which is not really that dramatic. But it is another little PR play of like, okay, like I'm down here training and I do want to be a Cowboy, like putting a little bit out there, put a little pressure on the team. We know that they made an offer to him, but clearly they haven't figured it out. Like if he's in the demand to be the highest paid player, if I'm the team, I'm just going out and saying that because that is bad PR for Zeke. If Zeke is not signing this because he's demanding to be the highest paid running back.
Break his trust though, like will he ever
break his trust? Here's the thing. I don't think you're going to find a more pro player individual than me. I want everyone to get paid. I want everyone to have mansions. I'm very pro player. I don't want anyone to get hurt. I don't talk about guys getting in trouble. Like I'm very pro player. However, I'm also a realist. And if you are Ezekiel Elliott and you have the resume that you have, you've got to keep it in perspective about what this team is going to be concerned about. And if you aren't,
you're going to end up on the Raiders.
I mean, or you're just going to end up you're going to end up franchise tagged. Like, what are you going to do? You're really not going to play for the next 4 years?
I just can't believe that someone saw what happened with Le'Veon last year and like seems to be going the same route. Like it's crazy.
And Le'Veon is in a completely different situation than Zeke. And really, all these players have no one to blame but the veterans because they're the ones that voted against the rookie like pay scale.
Come on,
and
guys.
It's been nothing but a disaster for everyone. So maybe new CBA, you revisit that a little bit. Like So what's his name got away with a bunch of money? Sam Bradford. He's just better at making money than the rest of you.
Yep. Maybe get
you
some
have to change
CBD in
it
that
for
CBA
for everyone else. He could use some CBD. He should just have a CBD like IV. Pretty much.
Yeah.
All right. So Big Ben has finally admitted that he effed up with Antonio Brown. He said he regrets criticizing him and handling it that way. It ruined a friendship.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Thanks for that now. Hooray. Fixed it.
Here's my problem. Like, obviously, that's news to no one. Okay. I don't know Antonio Brown personally. No one in this room does, I'm assuming. But I think it's pretty obvious just observing him. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy who likes to be publicly called out for his performances.
I don't know anyone who is that type of person.
I mean, some people I don't think anyone likes that, but I think some people can absorb that better than others.
Yep.
You're right. Most people don't like to be publicly
way.
called out. Okay? That's fine. When you're losing, I understand everything is elevated, right? Emotions, anger, frustration, cool. You're the guy who's supposed to just put a blanket on that, hug everyone, motivate everyone. There's a reason why you're the franchise quarterback. And quarterbacks are held to a different standard. That's just the way it is. You
get
touch
paid
the ball
for it
every
too.
time.
It's not
You
like
get paid for it every time. You get the shine. You get the posters. You get the billboards.
Interviews.
Everything. All right. It's all yours. But all this pile is yours too. Okay. And it's on you. It's on you to make sure that you relate individually to every single person in that locker room. And you have to handle everyone differently. Everyone doesn't respond the same.
Yep.
I can't talk to my mom the same way I talk to my brother, vice versa. Like, hello, it's just human to human thing. Like, it shouldn't be news to no one.
We all have to do it, and we're not necessarily compensated.
Right. Ever. And that's just, them's the breaks, man. Like, just deal with it.
These are the breaks.
Like, quarterbacks are held to a different standard for a reason. We all knew this. We all knew that you made a mistake when you did that. The difference is the moment that everyone starts reacting that way, you run as fast as your Big Ben feet can take you, okay, in your Flintstone car over to Antonio Brown, and you beg his forgiveness. And it doesn't matter about your ego.
It's me, baby. Come on.
Like,
remember, I throw you the ball.
Whatever you need me to do, and fix it. Do whatever you have to do to fix it. Nothing is not fixable if you sacrifice your ego in the situation.
He probably likes things.
I can't say nothing, but most things are fixable.
But send some things over. Send a gift basket, People like things.
People do love things, but it's better to give those
in
things in
person's
person.
Better,
yeah. And that was clearly the situation, and that's how it is. Like, you have to handle everyone differently. Finally, did you watch that Miami Gator game?
No, you told me about it, and that's how I learned that college football had started.
Well,
but I watched the highlights, and there was more turnover chains than touchdowns. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. So the thing about it is, my beloved Canes let me down, 24-20 against the wretched Gators. I don't hate the Gators as much as FSU, but they're still annoying. Gator fans are very annoying.
So you hate
they do the chomp.
yeah, which is the chomp or the chop? Which one's worse?
Or maybe it's a chop.
Well, this is the
No,
chop.
it's a chomp. It's a chomp.
Yeah, they do the chomp.
That's the chop.
Yeah,
Anyway,
both bad.
both annoying. But the point is that game. I mean, first of all, they did not deserve to win.
No one did.
UF should have obliterated Miami, and that's no disrespect to Miami, but UF should have won that game swimmingly.
They threw the ball far, and
They
people
did
caught it.
everything they could possibly do to give Miami an opportunity to win that game. That said, can't really blame that quarterback, even though he's a young guy. You can't get sacked 10 times and win a game. Like you're a miracle worker
On the
if
last
that happens.
play,
And
too,
believe me, they tried to give us a miracle. Those pass interference calls were as bad as like the Saints Rams. Like you can't run over you can't tackle the receiver right in front of the ref. And like thank you, it was good for us.
Yeah.
I'm like, great, did that just happen? How is that even possible? It was an absolute dumpster fire circus of a football game. I love what Manny Diaz is doing. I love the turnover chain. I love the rings. I love the energy.
DJ Dallas, he played good.
Let's just up the discipline level. Let's figure out what the hell's going on with the offensive line, please. But I love overall what they're doing with the program. They're bringing old players back. Like they've got the Miami energy.
Michael
and the swag
Irvin
back.
must have had an aneurysm during this
Michael
game.
Irvin was very excited. he was very excited about the game. I'm being sarcastic because he was. There's no words for what there's no way for me to explain what Michael Irvin was.
Over the top.
That's not enough. It was nothing you've ever seen.
Listen, the playmaker's not on the field to make plays, so he's got to make those plays in the media, and
He
boy, does he do it for us.
Loves
Appreciate you.
the University of Miami, as we all do, unless you don't go to Miami.
Unless you went to
or
Notre
don't care
Dame
about
like
Miami.
Brandon,
right?
huh?
And then you don't care. But
What?
it was a crazy bad showing of actual football, though. If I was 1% more of a hack, I would say I would do a better job. It was really bad. Like those guys were like, I could do better than that. Like,
That Florida radio probably. Yeah.
Maybe.
I thought this was Florida football. I thought that's where all the good players came from.
Oh yeah. I mean, I just don't know what happened. Like, if everyone was watching the game, like, this is a mess. Like,
Hey.
what is going on? But it was fun and it was entertaining.
Anything goes at the Camping World kickoff.
But
is
yeah,
what I
let's
learned
just
what that was called.
let's get the offensive line together and let's play a little bit more disciplined for the rest of the season, please. All right, what's in the Migos Culture Report?
The MTV Video Music Awards. They were on TV last night, and I only know this because actual young people on Twitter seem to be tweeting about it. After looking back, though, it seemed to be a good mix of older acts and new acts that sort of came across on TV as like a fun music festival that no one really cared about the awards, but that's not what they're there for anyway. What do you think, Joy?
I think that's a good explanation for the VMAs at this point. Like, it's more about just like a celebration of music
It's a festival.
than who actually wins. Although it's fun to win anything, but I would agree with that. That said, I have lots of thoughts. Okay, first of all, I love Shawn Mendes and Camila Cabello. Okay, they're my favorites. I need them to stay together forever. If they break up, it might be as dramatic as Usher and Chili. Okay, not quite, because I still believed that those things were real when that happens.
Those albums.
That
though.
was that. First of all, just a side note, Usher and Chili were like my generation's Beyonce and Jay-Z. I'm not being dramatic here. Like, that was the couple that everyone was like, we're like Usher and Chili. And then when they broke up, we were like, we are not like them.
But really,
what is happening?
But really, though,
It was so dramatic and jarring. But I love those two together, and their performance was fun, and I like that song. Cardi B, obviously, we all love Cardi. She's amazing, and she looks great. Meg Thee Stallion is,
Hot Girl
Summer. I mean, what can you say?
it worked. Whatever, it's working.
She looks good. Missy Elliott got the Video Vanguard Award.
Icon. They changed the name of that Video Vanguard Award.
Truly, before her time, or ahead of her time.
Yeah,
Like,
trendsetter.
what Missy Elliott was doing, if she was doing that now, kids would just lose their mind. Like, I think we all appreciated Missy Elliott, but now when you look at like what kids are wearing and like the kind of music they're into, like it honestly, watching her set was like watching Euphoria. I'm like, God, this shit would
Trailblazer.
kill dominate planet Earth right now. And all of her songs are still bangers. She's amazing. And then, of course, Lizzo. I mean, that giant butt on stage might be my favorite thing I've ever seen any performer ever do. If you didn't see it, it's just a giant butt, 2 butt cheeks with like a thong thing behind her on set.
She gets it. She really gets it.
She does.
She
I
gets it.
am obsessed with her.
She gets it.
Lizzo is my Beyonce. She is. We don't
That
deserve
is-
her, and we must
No,
protect her
I
at all
mean-
costs. I don't stand for a lot of people, but I might kill someone for her. We need her that badly.
My girlfriend Emily feels the exact same way.
Because she's amazing.
Yeah, she's inspiring.
I can't stress to you enough how amazing Lizzo is. And if you say anything bad about Lizzo, you don't fucking get life. Okay, that's all I have to say.
That's true. That's true. It's like you.
Her music is awesome. Her energy is great.
You took all the things from the internet and eliminated all the bad things somehow, and just that one meme that makes you laugh, and you just turn that into a human being, but they're real and they're
they can
awesome.
Truly sing
and play the flute.
Right. Who can play the flute?
Come on.
Jazz flute. Play the jazz flute.
Jazz flute. She's Ron Burgundy up there. She's Louise. And she's always ready, just like he was, pulling it out the sleeve. Come on.
There's not enough words for Lizzo. I love her.
We need her. We have to protect her at all costs.
We have to protect her at all costs.
Sure.
Definitely. So not to end on a low note, but can we cancel the Taylor Swift
ISO cam that she's got?
I mean, can we find someone with just a drop more rhythm, okay? I understand Taylor Swift is important, all right? And I like Taylor Swift a lot, okay? I think she's special. But I think we've moved past the point of assuming that Taylor Swift is everyone's best friend now. Like, we know that's not actually true. So can we just move it around a little bit more? I know what she's wearing. She's wearing a blazer thing, and she's got the blonde hair.
Yep. And she's Taylor Swift. I think it's a safe cutaway. You know what I mean?
Who
it's
cares
just like
about
going
safe?
back.
You've got a giant butt. You've got a giant ass on stage, and you're worried about a safe cutaway.
Well, it's for.
I'm just saying, just change it up a little bit. I still want to see Taylor Swift, but like 98% less.
Just 90, just 2%.
I mean, we're over the Taylor Swift ISO cam,
sure.
right? I can't be alone in this.
For sure. No, but she could get 2 or 3
shots
over the whole. You know what I mean?
Over the whole show.
I'd say
2 or 3 shots of Taylor Swift over the whole show is fair.
How many performances were there? 45. If she gets one every, she could get 10. If there's 45 performances, 10? She gets 10 cutaways the whole time.
No, that's
a lot of.
That's what I'm saying. It's too much. We just tone it down. I think Taylor Swift would agree, right? Taylor would agree.
Well, she clams up a little bit when she sees the lights on there, and when her dancing gets more timid when she knows the camera's on her.
That's what I'm saying.
I think she would agree.
When it all started, it was because Taylor was doing the same dance to every single song, like it was like at a party, right? She was like,
yeah.
to every song. Doesn't matter what the beat is.
Oh, yeah. And now that
it's like Ambitions is a ride.
Yeah, but then also Andrea Bocelli and
Money.
she's in
Money.
Yeah, she's in the same. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, even with her swagger coach there to help her.
And look, and I can't stop.
Yeah,
I'm not a dancer, okay? No one has ever accused me of being a dancer, okay? I do the pizza. We live here, okay? Q-tip. I don't do the Q-tip. But I'm just saying I don't do much more than this.
Sprinkler.
That's all I
shopping
really got.
cart.
Ariana is a dancer. She's a gymnast, but she can dance.
Professional at some point.
Yeah. No one is confusing what I'm saying right now.
I know. I was confusing myself.
She's a gymnast. She knows how to dance. Like, she was also in, correct me if I'm wrong, like dance movies. Like, she's a choreographer.
She was in Honey too.
Whatever. That is a dance movie. That is accurate.
Whatever people know about Honey. I'm a pretty good dancer, Joy. I don't let the skin casing that I wear fool you. I got moves. Ari can attest, and she's a pro.
Heller has moves. That's interesting.
Yeah. Pretty fly for a white guy was dedicated to me at lots of middle school dances. You know what I'm saying?
That's not where I would go with that. you were rising, and then
no, but that
was
right,
like no.
Right. Before you guys could get to it, I decided to just scale it back a little bit. Cut myself down a couple pegs. You know what I mean? Offspring mentioned in the Culture Report. We did it. We did it, guys.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us. Thank you very much to Heller for sitting in for Brandon, who will be back next week.
Yeah, I'm sure for you guys who are listening, he can't come back soon enough. But thanks for listening.
No, I thought you did a very good job.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, you did a good job.
I had fun. I had a great time. It's a great podcast. I love supporting it from behind the scenes, and now working on it also too on camera. Hey, Donnie.
Yeah, we Minimal weirdness too, which I appreciate.
Yep, just letting it leak at the end though.
Right there, like you
yeah,
held it together.
I can't hold it in.
Thank you though. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. If you are watching and you want to watch some more, make sure you subscribe on our YouTube channel at Maybe I'm Crazy Podcast. Follow us on all of our digital pages. Maybe I'm Crazy Pod at Maybe I'm Crazy Pod at Joy Taylor Talks. Would you like a plug?
Yeah, at Hella_Heller, representing for the Bay Area.
It's Hella_Heller.
Yeah,
Where? On Twitter?
Hella_Heller. Everything.
Did you change it?
No, it's always been.
Am I tripping?
No. What'd you think it was?
I don't know. I read fast. I thought it was Heller_Heller.
No, it's
Well,
Hella.
it like autofills for you. So
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
He knows what his Instagram page is. One more
It
time.
autofills because we're friends. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Hella_Heller.
All right. So that's
because I'm
why-
a lot and I'm from the Bay. You know what I'm saying? You figure it out.
Hella. Did you watch
Heller.
Blind Spotting, by the way?
Of course I did.
We never discussed that.
No, it was a great movie.
Excellent.
I liked it even better than
watch Blindspotting.
There was another Oakland movie that came out around that time. Sorry to bother you. I like that also, but I like Blind Spotting even more.
Blind Spotting is very good.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know how we got on that, but Brandon will be back next week. Thank you for joining us again, and thank you again to Pat McAfee. He was great.
was
Let's Talk
great.
Pittsburgh, which I always
Yeah,
love.
he was awesome.
And we'll catch you next week.
Bye.
Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm not.